Today, my friends and I will be talking about the hidden truth concerning global warming.
Firstly, what is global warming? Global warming is the gradual increase of the temperature of the atmosphere.
The effects of global warming are greatly underrepresented in the US media.
This is because the media is trying to sway the public opinion to help the big corporations.
We can do one more.
The aim of our documentary is to enlighten the public about the cruel reality of global warming.
After watching our video, we hope that the public will be more considerate and caring towards the issue of global warming.
Good evening, everyone, and today I would like to talk about the people ignorance towards global warming in America. But first, let's watch the short video clip.
The IPCC released its major report on the expected impacts of global warming, and of course, it was our lead story. Here's what's coming up tonight on The Big Picture. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, has released its newest report on the effects of global warming, and their conclusions are devastating. Will this be the wake-up call that lawmakers in Washington need for them to start making the shift towards renewable energy before it's too late? But not everyone gave that kind of attention to the IPCC report. CNN covered it for only 1 minute and 8 seconds, and Fox News covered it for only 5 minutes. 5 minutes that mostly involved guests bashing the IPCC and the UN.
This is the UN outdoing itself on completely perverse priorities.
Why this when the world is literally, blowing up on them?
Well, because the UN does very well out of the climate change gravy train. It's something that
That's right, the UN gravy train. MSNBC, by the way, spent nearly 20 minutes talking about the IPCC report. But that's really a bittersweet victory for those of us who want to stop global warming before it's too late. It just reinforces the idea that climate change is a liberal issue as opposed to the greatest threat our species has ever faced. Joining me now for more on this.
Now, after watching that video, do you get the gist of it? If not, then let me explain further on my topic. The United States of America is one of the most developed nations in the world, where most of its citizens are affordable to have a TV, even though they have access to this sophisticated tool. So why do the Americans still have small fraction of knowledge of global warming? The media in the United States are controlled by large corporations that can be argued to have profits twice the size of the box office sales of the next 140 studios back in 2010. With that excessive amount of money, it is very possible that they have the unimaginable power to control the information being broadcasted to the public. Now, this is the same video clip where it demonstrates how the woman in the Fox interview alters information about global warming.
CNN covered it for only 1 minute and 8 seconds, and Fox News covered it for only 5 minutes. 5 minutes that mostly involved guests bashing the IPCC and the UN.
this is the UN outdoing itself on completely perverse priorities.
Why this when the world is literally, blowing up on them?
Well, because the UN does very well out of the climate change gravy train. It's something that
Did you hear what she said? She said gravy train, or a term where it refers for someone who doesn't do anything, or basically an unproductive person.
It just reinforces the idea that climate change is a liberal issue as opposed to the greatest threat our species has ever faced.
Now, if you were the person who just watched that Fox interview, would you believe a single word what the woman just said? How the UN is not taking this matter seriously. The people of America are believed that global warming is a hoax, as is demonstrated by this image. In reality, global warming is present, and the rate of it is going higher and higher as CO2 is being released to the air. And realize that they are one of the contributors towards global warming, and they should do something about it by not listening to facts through big media corporations.
People's ignorance towards global warming. Everybody knows that global warming is real. It's happening around the world. But yet people just don't seem to care. the environmentalists and just every other people who actually care about the environment or the surrounding are trying their ultimate best to save Mother Earth. But we can only accomplish this if we all work together. People with higher power should contribute more, I feel. That being said, there are advantages and disadvantages about open burning. An open fire looks great to look at or sit around during a cold winter evening. Some fireplaces have a back burner allowing you to channel heat through the pipes to warm up the water. If a fire is built up properly, it keeps you warm overnight, so you do not need to get extra blankets or any sort of other things to keep you warm. In the olden days, people would use the fireplaces to cook, to heat up your kettle of water, or even make food, by baking. And now comes the disadvantages involving open burning. One of the major ones involves the risk of lives and burn injuries. These are all not to be messed with, especially with your life. The next major one is the short and long-term health concerns from inhaling the smoke of it, filled with carbon monoxide and all these other poisonous chemicals. Another is that a potential damage to people's houses, homes, and habitats to living organisms in their area. And lastly, it could lead to a loss of vegetation. Take a good look, people. This is our home. This is where all living organisms live. If we do not take care of our home now, all of that will be lost. Isn't this worth saving, people? Think really hard, because to me, I think it is. I will do my part, but I'm only one guy. There are billions of people in this world right now, and it is going to take each and every one of us. So I hope that you guys will do something about it.
The combustion of fossil fuels contributes hugely to the amount of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere. Every day, power plants, vehicles, and factories produce large amounts of carbon dioxide through the combustion of fossil fuels. According to the EPA website, 38% of total carbon dioxide emissions in the United States come from power plants using fossil fuels to produce energy, 32% comes from vehicles which use fossil fuels as a fuel, and 14% come from industrial processes which emit carbon dioxide through fossil fuel combustion. This adds up to 84%. This means that 84% of all the carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere in the United States comes from the combustion of fossil fuels. As you can see, this is a coal-fueled power plant in Asheville, North Carolina. It's capable of producing 376 megawatts of power. There are a lot of emissions coming from the pipe on the right. However, this is not pollution at all. This is simply water vapor. These power plants burn fossil fuels, which creates heat, which is used to boil huge amounts of water. The steam is used to turn turbines, which actually generates the power. The fumes you can see on the right are just water vapor. But what about what's coming out of the two pipes on the left? The invisible gas coming out of these pipes is carbon dioxide, a main contributor to global warming. You can't see it, but these power plants pump millions of pounds of carbon dioxide into the air every day. These fossil fuel powered power plants are pretty much necessary in this day and age to meet our energy requirements. As you can see from the graph, with the policies the United States currently has in place, it's predicted that fossil fuels will still provide 78% of the United States' energy in 20 years. If the United States government doesn't tighten their policies on fossil fuels, the burning of fossil fuels is going to continue to release billions of pounds of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere over the next few decades. Right now, big oil companies such as ExxonMobil and BP are able to influence politicians with large sums of money. By doing this, they can sway policies to their favor, so there are no laws to limit what they can do with fossil fuels. Currently, they're able to burn as many fossil fuels as they want in order to make more money, resulting in more carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere. Companies also pay off the media, such as Fox News, to spread misinformation about the human effect on climate change. This results in public ignorance about the real effects of fossil fuels and carbon dioxide on climate change. People need to know the truth, so they know what they can do to ensure themselves a better future.